Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Lambert Podcast. This is your host, Darnisha C. Pickett, and I am here with a very special guest, the president of the conference, Sister Robin Brown. How are you doing today?
I am well, thank you very much, and I hope you are as well.
Thank you. I am. I am. We can start with a little bit of introduction. So would you like to tell the listening and viewing audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure, but first I would like to give all honor to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who guides my steps in this journey called life. Good evening to everyone. Sister Darnisha, I wanted just to take a moment to thank you for the opportunity to participate in this podcast. It is indeed an honor. Well, a little bit about myself. I am the baby girl of 11 children born to John and Elise Middleton. I'm the 10th child. And yes, before you ask, I am spoiled rotten. I grew up in Midlothian, Virginia. All of my family is basically here in Virginia. I grew up in Midlothian in a little section called Hallsborough, right on the Powhatan County lines, if anybody is familiar with Virginia itself. I am married to Floyd Brown of 25 years. We have a blended family of 5 children and 8 beautiful grandchildren. I am a paralegal for a personal injury firm, and I have been doing personal injury law for about 36 years. But I do have a side hustle. I love to decorate.
Nice, nice. Could you share with us some of your fraternal and civic organizations in which you hold membership?
Sure, I'm pretty basic. The only house I belong to is the Order of Eastern Star and the one in which I live. I am a member of the NAACP and the Prince George Women's Club. I also volunteer at a local hospital that has just started back up. So I look forward to volunteering at the hospital. That's
Nice.
it.
That is pretty simple and cut to
Pretty
right
simple.
to the point. so, in regards to the Order of the Eastern Star, how did you get introduced to the order?
Well, believe it or not, it wasn't through my immediate family. My dad was a master mason and had been a master mason for 50 plus years. However, my mom nor any of my sisters were members of the order. It wasn't until I married Floyd that my mother in law influenced me to join the order.
Nice. Okay, okay. Do you recall when exactly you became a member? That maybe the date, the year?
Yes, I became a member in April of 1996.
Okay, okay. So coming into the order, when you first joined, did you have any like immediate goals? Were you kind of um, just observing? Like, what was your take on the order when you joined?
Well, I didn't know a whole lot about the order, of course, when I first joined, other than I did used to see the order within the community as, like I said, my dad was a master mason. But when I first joined the order, my first thought was, what in the world have I gotten myself into? Because the chapter that I joined, of course, it was a lot of elderly women in that chapter. Um, but then I realized that it was all wisdom, but there were really not a whole lot of young people in the chapter. So it was basically like, okay, so what exactly does the Eastern Star do? So it was a learning process from the ground floor, but it was a great learning process, I must say.
Okay. And so between that time and this time, of course, you actually served as groundworthy matron. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Before I get into that journey, I need to backtrack just a little bit. Um, at my initiation, when I became unveiled, there was all of this here in Virginia, we wear collars. So there was all of this gold all the way around the room, and it sparkled. It just had that little shimmy. So after the initiation, I asked my mother-in-law, I said, well, who are those people and how did they get that jewel? Because that's what I want to be when I grow up. Lo and behold, in 2014, I was elected and installed as the groundworthy matron for the Commonwealth of Virginia. My journey for the groundworthy matron um, is very unique. It is uncharted. What happened is basically I exercised my right to run off of the floor, and that had never been successfully done in the state of Virginia. So it was very different for the Commonwealth, but it was a great journey. We just kind of did things that were untraditional. For example, if you recall, most groundworthy matrons have star point colors as their colors. So when I came along, my colors were purple and white. And they were like, well, what is she doing? Purple, that's not a star point color. But even though it's not written anywhere that you have to have star point colors here in Virginia. So I kind of looked at it like, no, 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 you're not. That's not correct. I have three of the star point colors, and they were quite confused. And I said, okay, well, I took that of Ada and I took that of Electa and I combined them together and got that beautiful purple. And then, of course, I have the white color of Esther. And they soon began to understand that I was using the same method that they used, just in a different way. It was just different, different ideas. My theme was sassy. I think that blew most people out of the water. What is she doing? Well, sassy actually it stood for a lot of things, but the acronym actually stood for service. The very first thing is service, and I had to specify it was service to God and to the Order of the Eastern Star. Always put God first. So sassy actually stood for service above self, sustained year round, because I felt like that I couldn't give service just some of the time. I was put in that position and served that position to serve all of the time. So you have to serve 365 days a year. You just can't serve when you're at session or when you're at visitation. That job requires that you serve all of the time, but you must continue to keep God first no matter what.
Right.
Yeah, so it
Awesome.
was unique. It was unique, and it's a lot of friendships that are built. I belong to a group called Sisters United in Faith, and it's an awesome group of sisters. We pray together, we laugh together, we cry together. It's just a bond that will never be broken. It's just one that I will cherish for the rest of my life.
Nice. Awesome. So I know that there is like a journey between, the groundworthy matron and actually becoming the president of the conference. So what did that look like? And if you can recall around what time what date do you think that you attended the conference? Do you remember like the first time you went to the conference and what that looked like?
The first time I ever attended a national conference, is that the question? Or when I became president of the conference? Or both?
Well, actually, oh, both. Yes, definitely both. Like, do you remember your first time attending the conference, and then you could kind of build into when you were elected to serve as the president of the
Sure.
conference?
I think the very first time I attended conference was in 2008. My husband served as the worthy patron of Virginia, and I would travel with them to the conferences. And I want to believe it was 2008, if I'm not mistaken, was my very first conference. At that particular point, I had no idea that I would even be interested in running for president whatsoever. I was just there. I met again great group of people, but I did not have the desire to become president at that time. I became president of the conference May 2018, but prior to that, the 2 years prior, I came out of the chair as groundworthy matron in 2016, and I became vice president of the conference. I never thought I would have the opportunity to serve as president because in 2016, when I became vice president, the policy and procedure guideline indicated that you had to be a seated grand worthy matron or seated worthy grand matron in order to hold the position of president. Well, as it would happen, it's another uncharted path for me because right when it was time for me to end as vice president, it changed. The policy and guidelines changed, which allowed me to be able to run for the position of president. So again, God has always worked it out. Always kept, I always keep him in front of me, with me at all times. And it was meant for me to have that position because if not, I would not have been able to serve as president of the conference.
Nice. Okay. So in being the president, what aspects would you say you were most prepared for? And what aspects would you say you were least prepared for?
Clueless. The reason why I say that is I was just prepared to be a leader, to take on whatever needed to be done. In the position of being president of the conference, in my case, I'm speaking for me, you really do not have a clear understanding of everything that that position entails. Um, I do know that it's certain things that we are, it's not like being grandworthy matron. And as being grandworthy matron, it's your jurisdiction. You know exactly how it's supposed to roll. You know exactly what your policies are, your guidelines, your constitution, and your ritual. President of the conference is not like that. We are supposed, and I do understand reading the policy and guidelines that I am supposed to keep fraternal harmony from all of the jurisdictions. So you have a lot of grandworthy matrons, worthy grand matrons, grandworthy patrons, worthy grand patrons, and past grands with all different ideas coming at you from all different directions. The main thing is, to me, you can't prepare for that. You just have to deal with whatever is at hand for you. However, I have had the pleasure of serving with President Dorian R. Glover, who happens to be an attorney, by the way. Um, we make, I just think we make an awesome team because he respects the position on the female side as president, and I appreciate him for that. He is a past Grand Master for the jurisdiction of New York. But I also appreciate the patron of the conference, the vice president of the conference, the associate patron of the conference, and the whole executive team on both sides, because they have kept me straight and they realize that we need to come together as a team to make anything happen. Also appreciate the conference coordinators because even though we haven't had a session, they constantly work hard to make sure that everything is in place when we do actually meet.
Nice. Okay. So during a large portion of your tenure, of course, we've experienced COVID-19. Would you like to speak a little bit to the adjustments or if any adjustments have been made on the conference level?
It was pretty simple. We had to shut it down for the safety and the concern of our membership. It was not that important to actually have a session. And President Glover, we basically decided to not have a conference for the year of 2020 and for the year of 2021. There has been no site selected for the year of 2022 as of yet. However, even though we have not been able to actually meet in the month of May, the President Glover calls a conference call the first Friday of each month where we plan for the conference along with the executive team and the conference coordinators. So we're still working behind the scenes, even though right now we are not currently meeting. In May, we had conference calls. He had the Zoom call with the Grand Masters, and I had the Zoom call with the Groundworthy Matrons and Groundworthy Patrons, just to touch bases with one another, just to, give them updates on what's going on, etc. That worked out very well. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, because I stand on the shoulders of past grand worthy matrons and past worthy grand matrons. I have to get that in there. Um, I had a call with them. I had two calls. I spent my entire day on Zoom calls because, as you know, the time zones are different for most. And so I had one call, the very first call, it had 45 past grands on that call, and the second call had 49 past grands. Now, that was such an awesome call, both calls, simply because we had members on that call that probably hadn't been to a conference in a very long time, but they loved the order. And they were so excited that they received an email saying, "Hey, we're going to have a Zoom call." And it was basically just to touch bases. It was a wellness call. We had not seen each other in over a year. A lot of people on that call I had never seen at all before. But I must say there were two young ladies on the call. The very first call was Sister Singleton from South Carolina. She was the eldest person on the call at the age of 88. She was very spry. She gave us lots of compliments and lots of love. And it was just, I ate it all up. It was just awesome. It was awesome. On the second call, it was Sister Johnson, and she was 95, and
Wow.
she was so spry. She was like, "I told my daughter," and she had an email address and everything. I didn't want to ask her if she had Facebook because she would have put me to shame because I don't have Facebook. So she probably would have said, "Yeah, you want my address," and I would have had to been like, "Sister Johnson, I appreciate it, but I don't Facebook." But she had her email address. She gave me her mailing address. It was just awesome just to hear her talk about how much she loves the order. And that's what I'm all about, connecting. We have to stay connected even though we are not together. We have to stay connected. We have to do wellness checks. We have to stay safe in the event or when we're ready to actually meet again. But yeah, that was very heartwarming, very much so.
Nice. So let's go back just a little bit.
Okay.
If there are any sisters or brothers who are watching this right now and are curious about what the conference is or what it was established for, can you go into a little bit of the purpose that the conference serves?
Yes, the Conference of Grandworthy Matrons and Grandworthy Patrons on our side is basically, like I said, to establish the fraternal um, gathering to keep the different jurisdictions together. Keeping in mind, we have the 45 jurisdictions, and we have the District of Columbia, we have the Bahamas, we have the Caribbean islands, and Congo. So we have in Canada, we have a whole group, and we are supposed to basically stick together. But we're also supposed to be involved in community events when we get together. We are and my main focus is on scholarships. We're supposed to provide educational scholarships to our children. Our children are that of the future. That is the main one that I focus on. We're also supposed to come together with different ideas. Like, for instance, you could be doing something in your jurisdiction, and so you present it, and maybe I want to try it in my jurisdiction. So it's just the little list of things that when we come together, this is what we're supposed to do. And I call it a melting pot. We're supposed to get together and we're supposed to be concise and to what it is that we want to do. Maybe you should try this, or maybe you should try that, or could you tell me how your demit form works, or something to that degree. But like I said, my biggest focus is scholarships. I think we need to do scholarships. That, and we vote. Our voting is antiquated, and this is Robin's personal opinion. We still vote on paper, and that really gets my goat, as someone would say. So I got my husband to present Election Runner. I'm sure you're familiar with Election Runner. the electronic voting. We presented that in 2019 at the Bahamas as a test. And I was so looking forward to actually trying it out in 2020. But of course, we weren't able to meet. And here we are again in 2021, not able to meet. But my saying is we need to step our game up when it comes to that. We really do. And we also need to step our game up when it comes to scholarships as well. We don't do enough in that category as far as scholarships, because those babies are our future. And we need to do all that we possibly can to help them move forward in life.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
for that.
welcome.
So in what ways is the conference working to preserve the history?
Well, that is a task in itself. Unfortunately, we lost our executive secretary. Um, and so a lot of things we do have to start from scratch as far as forms and some of the literature that we had until it's actually obtained. But we have started that process. It's a hard process, but we have started it. We do have a newsletter that's done, and it's called Historically Speaking. And there's a lot of history that's listed there. We do have to, as I would say, step our game up and get on the stick in regards to forming a booklet. I think the Masonic side is working on something in regards to their history. We're not there yet. We're working on it. We will be working on it, but we're not there yet.
Nice. Okay. All right. So, and we'll wrap up a little bit after this question, but I wanted to know what has been your most memorable moment thus far as president?
Well, I guess I would say I just love meeting the people. Like yourself, for instance, when you contacted me, I was surprised you even remembered me. And then you said, yeah, I took a picture with you in Arkansas. I'm like, really?
Right.
You know, I don't like pictures at all. But anyway, meeting the people is not just being president, but I am more approachable as president. So I meet more people as being president. But the people that I have met on this journey is just unremarkable. Like I said, from Miss Johnson at 95 to Sister Singleton at 88. I will be sending them flowers and a card because my philosophy is give me my flowers while I can smell them. I can't smell them when I'm laid out, so give them to me while I can smell them. So it's my intent for those two ladies particular to stay in touch with them, to do wellness checks with them, to call them for their wisdom, all of that. But to meet the friendships that I've developed, the young people like yourself that I'll be checking on you constantly, especially from what you told me before the podcast. Again, congrats. So there's so much more. I mean, you just need to keep it moving. That is the beginning. So you just keep it moving. Never underestimate yourself. On Sunday, our pastor used an analogy of the grasshopper versus the giant. Never let yourself don't ever look at yourself as a little small grasshopper compared to a big giant. The enemy could be a big giant, and the giant thinks that he or she can take you down because you are a little grasshopper. You think of yourself as small. You're not small. You're bigger than that giant. You can do anything that you put your mind to it. You keep God first, and you will go just as far as you want to, and he will guide you all the way. So never become the grasshopper. Always be the giant.
Nice. Thank you. And I know you say you don't like taking pictures, but I don't remember you like I don't know if you made a face or anything. I was just like, hey, can we get a picture? He's like, okay.
Well, let me tell you, I had to change. I really changed my attitude because, and the reason I say that is because, no, I don't like to take pictures, but I am approachable. So I'm not the type of person that'll be like, nah, I don't want to take a picture. We had our conference a couple of weeks ago, and there was this OES sister, and she approached me And she said, can I speak with you for a second? And I said, sure. And I thought, maybe I had said something or done something. I wasn't sure what it was because she had this serious look on her face. And she said, may I say something to you? And I'm thinking, oh no, what is going on? But what she said made my entire day. She said, Robin, I want you to know, I knew you before you were grand matron. I knew you while you were grand worthy matron. And now I still know you or been around you, and you haven't been in the chair since 2016. And she said, one thing, you have never changed. You have never wavered. You have never changed. You've been the same Robin before, during, and after. And that, my friend, just made my day because I am who I am. That collar that I eyed when I was unveiled, yeah, I wanted it, but I did have no idea how much weight that collar causes. It causes weight. You put it on. I don't know if you wear collars in your jurisdiction or sashes,
We wear
but
sashes. Only the grand matron wears a collar.
okay, that collar is weighted. That collar is weighted in more ways than one. That collar can some friends that you had won't be your friends any longer. That collar can gain you new friends. That collar can take your confidence if you let it. That collar is a lot of weight, but that collar never made me. I am who I am. Always remember who you are and whose you are. That collar does not define me. I am Robin irregardless. And when she told me that, the before, during, and the after, I was cheesing. I was like, oh, wonderful. I mean, because I really didn't know where she was going with it, but it means so much for somebody to come up and tell you that. And I just gave her a big hug, and she just had a little tear in her eye, and I was like, okay, I'm here if you need me. But that meant so much to me. So
Yeah, that's amazing. I know,
yeah.
every time I see you, you're always upbeat, encouraging, and all of those things,
I
positive
try.
energy. So,
I try.
um,
It is me to inspire you because one day you could be sitting in the East.
thank you so much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. And like I said, thank you for agreeing to come on and to share your journey with us. Um, I think this is like the third interview that I've done on the podcast. And the reason I started it was kind of the reason you said, because we have leaders that's working diligently for us in the organization. And, it's good to get to know them and their journey, and also tell them thank you for the work that you do with the conference as president, because I
You're
know it's probably a lot. But thank you so much for sharing it with us, and I'm really glad you were able to come on.
Well, thank you so very much. Again, thank you for the opportunity. It is indeed an honor. I was very honored once you contacted me in regards to doing a podcast. And of course, yes, I was very nervous. I was like, oh, this is like getting up, carrying on sessions. So let me get it together. So I'm glad we had the opportunity. And when you see me again, yes, I will take a picture with you. I probably won't be president then, but I'll still take a picture.
Oh, that has absolutely nothing to do with it. Guess we need a updated picture. I think I had locks then, so we need a we need the
No.
updated picture together. And
Okay.
I'm sure, I know the pandemic has picked up again, but hopefully we'll be able to gather together soon. And to
Yes.
all the listeners out there, thank you again for tuning in to the Lambert podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Great. Thank you all so much. And as I always say, smooches. Bye.